The easiest way to never forget blood pressure regulation is to remember this simple idea. If this is a baroreceptor, and whenever the blood pressure becomes high, it lowers it. And whenever the blood pressure becomes low, it raises it. So if you understand the simple mechanism of baroreceptor, writing short-term regulation of blood pressure becomes easy task. Later in this video, I will let you know the commonest mistake that most of the students do while writing and drawing this diagram in the exam and land up in getting less marks. So let's start with it. So blood pressure, which is a product of cardiac output and total peripheral resistance, can be understood with the help of these four headings. First, definition and normal value. The flow chart showing the regulation of arterial blood pressure. Then the three important mechanisms for short-term regulation are baroreceptor reflex, chemoreceptor reflex, and CNS ischemic response. And last but not the least, the applied aspect of baroreceptors, including carotid sinus massage, Stokes-Adams syndrome, and experimental lesions. Do not forget to draw this very important diagram of baroreceptor showing carotid sinus and aortic arch baroreceptor carrying impulses through the hearing nerves to the nucleus of tractus solitarius in medulla. Definition and normal value. Blood pressure is defined as the lateral pressure exerted by the moving column of blood on the wall of the arteries. It is represented by this formula, cardiac output multiplied by the total peripheral resistance. Now this blood pressure has got two important components. One is systolic blood pressure, which is the maximum pressure recorded during systole. Normal value is about 120 plus or minus 20 millimeter of mercury. And it is mainly driven by the cardiac output. Where the second one is the diastolic blood pressure. It is the minimum pressure exerted during diastole. Normal value is about 60 to 90 millimeter of mercury, and it is mainly driven by the peripheral resistance. Remember, important point about diastolic blood pressure is it decides the coronary filling. Now, along with these two components, we're having two important derived pressures. First one is the pulse pressure, which is the difference between systolic and diastolic blood pressure. So it is given by the formula systolic minus diastolic. Normal value is about 40 millimeter of mercury. And the last one is the mean arterial pressure, which is given by the formula of diastolic blood pressure plus 1/3 of pulse pressure. Normal value is about 95 millimeter of mercury. Remember, this is not an arithmetic mean, but it is a geometrical mean. After this, drawing this regulation of arterial blood pressure flow chart is very important. It shows mainly three mechanisms. One is immediate, then intermediate, and long-term mechanism. Immediate works through three ways: baroreceptor, chemoreceptor, and CNS ischemic response. Whereas intermediate by two ways: capillary fluid shift mechanism and stress relaxation mechanism. Whereas the long-term mechanism, it works through RS pathway, then renal body fluid system, and ADH or catecholamine system. Remember, writing this gives an extra edge over the other students. Now see, this is the most important diagram that you're going to draw. As I said earlier, the commonest mistake that most of the students do in exam and lose their mark is not labeling this afferent nerve and location of this baroreceptors. So remember, this is a very important point. Now let's see all the three short-term regulation mechanisms in a single slide, starting with the baroreceptor. This gets stimulated whenever the blood pressure rises, causing stretching of this baroreceptor, send signals to the afferent nerve, 9th and 10th cranial nerve, to the nucleus of tractus solitarius in medulla. The effect is stimulate parasympathetic vagal center and inhibit vasomotor center pressure area, ultimately lead to the bradycardia and vasodilatation, and blood pressure comes back to normal. The second mechanism is chemoreceptor reflex. This gets stimulated whenever there is change in the chemical composition of blood. So it also stimulates carotid and aortic bodies, excite the vasomotor center pressure area, and causes systemic vasoconstriction, lead to the rise in blood pressure. And lastly, the CNS ischemic response. Remember, this response gets activated whenever the blood pressure falls below 60 millimeter of mercury. It causes medullary hypoxia and massive vasomotor center excitation and lead to the vasoconstriction and rise in blood pressure. In this, one important thing to remember, high blood pressure along with the reflex bradycardia is sure shot sign of raised intracranial pressure. So let's revise some important Viva points. This table shows the basic difference between baroreceptor and chemoreceptors. You can see difference depending upon the stimulus, action on vasomotor center, heart rate, and their operative range of pressure. You can draw this additional diagram showing the pressure range of baroreceptor. Remember, these baroreceptors always reset to the new pressure range, and so they have got no role in the long-term regulation of blood pressure. And lastly, some of the 1 mark or Viva questions. What are the buffer nerves? There is a glossopharyngeal and vagus nerve. These are the buffer nerves. And what is the hallmark of Cushing reflex? High blood pressure along with the bradycardia is a hallmark of raised intracranial pressure. And why mean arterial pressure is geometrical mean? Because diastole, which lasts longer than the systole. And here's the ultimate exam writing strategy to score maximum marks in your exam. Always start strong with a 1 mark definition. Then write normal values of systolic and diastolic blood pressure. Then draw the diagram of Baroreceptor. Use the clear box and arrow format. Be anatomically precise. Do not write these terms like brain and nerves, but instead write nucleus of tractus solitarius and afferent cranial nerves of 9th and 10th. And lastly, the finisher. Conclude your answer with one clinical application to show your applied knowledge. Now go and see these two videos, one showing the complete long essay question of BP regulation to know how to write the entire answer in your exam, and another video showing BP revision in 5 minutes. Thank you.